Have you ever used one of these? Raspberry Pis are one of the coolest gadgets that you can have in your home. If you've never used one before, they are a tiny little computer. And when I say tiny computer, I mean they are an entire computer that can fit on the palm of my hand. This is the Raspberry Pi 4GB, and it has all the things that you need to be able to use a computer. It's got an Ethernet port and Wi-Fi built on, so you can connect to the internet. It's got a handful of USB ports for being able to connect your peripherals, such as mouse and keyboard. It's got multiple micro HDMI ports, so you can connect up to 2 screens. And it also is got a headphone jack, which are not as common these days. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that this is a full-blown computer that can run Raspberry Pi OS, which is basically a flavor of Debian Linux that is designed to run on the ARM processor that this has. So it makes it perfect for home labs where it costs next to nothing to run because it's so efficient. It doesn't have a fan or anything. And it allows you to be able to run all sorts of containers or anything like that 24/7. It's a much cheaper alternative to a cheap VPS from a cloud provider that can run on your local network. I've used these for years for things like managing 3D printers, running Docker containers, network analysis, whatever it may be. But I'm going to look at seeing if we can install Kestra on this Raspberry Pi here so I can have it orchestrate various things around my home. If you'd be curious about me doing a series on what I can orchestrate around my home with Kestra, let me know in the comments below. I know there's a number of you home lab users who enjoy using Kestra in your home labs, but maybe you've got a bit more of a sophisticated server setup or a NAS that you're running Kestra on. If that's something that you'd also be interested in, let me know. I can have a look into doing something like that too. Anyway, let's have a look at the Raspberry Pi and understand what we need to do to be able to actually get this in a suitable state to run Kestra. Now, the first sort of thing about this Raspberry Pi that I have here is it uses a micro SD card as the storage. Now, the one I've got here has only got a 32GB SD card, so it's not got tons of storage. So the setup for Kestra we're going to use today is going to be quite minimal, and we're going to keep it quite performant, especially because it's only got 4GB of RAM, and Kestra requires that as a minimum to get working. Now, you can get newer versions of the Raspberry Pi. I got this one back in, I think, 2019, but they have got the Raspberry Pi 5 now, and there's a few 8GB variants around as well. So you can use those to get a little bit more performance for your money. Now I've put it back in its little case. Let me go get it plugged in so we can connect to it via SSH, and then we can start getting set up. Now I have this Raspberry Pi running on my network, and I've already set up an SSH key with it so that I can connect to it using the computer that I normally use without having to then go and plug in an external screen or a keyboard and have to switch between the two. I find this a lot easier personally, so I can SSH in quite simply using my login, and now that I'm all set up, I have a terminal that I can get started. Now, I actually have a preferred way of connecting to my Raspberry Pi, which is using the VS Code SSH extension. So basically what it does is it will connect your entire VS Code window to the instance on the Raspberry Pi. So basically it will run like a little background task on the Raspberry Pi, which is where it will manage all the stuff, but then you're interfacing with it through VS Code on whatever other machine you want to use. The reason I like this is, and I can connect to it here, is what it does is it allows me to easily see the files on the machine. So I've got a few different Docker Compose files and Docker files that I was playing around with earlier, but it also gives me a terminal, but also potentially multiple terminals. So it means I can easily, see what's going on this Raspberry Pi. I can see if there's any Docker containers currently running, which there are, and I can easily just manage all of that while also going in and editing things like my Docker Compose file without having to make any major changes. So I personally prefer this, but maybe you're a power user in the terminal and you want to use things like Vim, then that's also okay. But it means I can easily drag and drop files directly into the editor here and then easily start editing them. So if I've already got a Docker Compose file that I've been using locally, I can put that straight onto the Raspberry Pi without having to go through any extra hurdles, because you might have to use something else to copy it. But I've got this Docker Compose file. I just downloaded it from the Kestra GitHub repository. I'm effectively following the Kestra Docker Compose installation guide, but there's a few little tweaks I'm going to make this optimized for the Raspberry Pi. Now, I've organized the files on my Raspberry Pi a little bit here. I've also installed another extension too in VS Code. This is another favorite of mine, which is the containers extension. It allows you to see what containers are running on the Raspberry Pi. I can easily stop containers. I can easily attach to them. I find this quite a good way of seeing what's going on at a sort of quick glance. So I can see I've got loads of different things going on here, which is pretty nice. Something that's very interesting about 2.0 is that you'll be able to install plugins on the fly. So because the Raspberry Pi doesn't have tons of storage or tons of memory, I don't really want to install a humongous Docker container that's got lots of different things in it. I'd like to keep it quite a slimmed down and efficient container. So if I was to use something like 1.3, an option I could do is use latest with no plugins. And then what I can do is I can attach that container. So I can actually show you that one first. Let's go to 1.3. I can do Docker Compose up. That's going to spin me up a container with Kestra and then one with Postgres. It should be quite quick to install because the container images are quite small. Whereas if you use the plug one with all the plugins, it can be multiple gigabytes, which is quite slow. This allows me to get that up and running. Because it's on my local network, I can access it in my browser on the machine I'm using right now using the IP address of the Raspberry Pi, which is pretty neat. So we've got Kestra up and running. Let me get myself a new tab. We can then go to the URL for Kestra, which is here. I've actually given it a domain for the IP address, but just put the IP address of your Raspberry Pi, the same address you use to SSH. Now this is what Kestra 1.3 looks like. Now that I've got Kestra up and running, what I can do is go to the container view. I can then right click on 1.3 here, attach shell, and now I've got I'm inside that container. So I can now use that Kestra command line interface here, and I can then do things like, well, we can just do a quick help, see what we can do. We can run that help command and we can see here that we can use the plugins one. We actually have a guide on how to select certain plugins. My preference would be to just spin it up and then install them individually using the command inside the container. So here you can do it inside the Docker Compose, but I'm going to sort of take a slightly more efficient, just quicker approach for me. We can use Maven to figure out what the name of all the different plugins are. So let's say I want to install Python. I can easily then just take the Python name like so. And if we look, it wants us to put Kestra plugins, install kestra.io.plugins, and then the name of it. So we can copy that. I can go back to my container. We can just change this to say plugin script Python like so, and then I just need to change that bit at the start to be dot slash to use the Kestra binary. So that's now going to install the latest version of the Python plugin onto this instance. Then we'll just need to restart the instance to be able to see that plugin inside of the UI, but that now means we can install just the plugins we want to use without having to install everything on this instance, because we want to make sure the Raspberry Pi can be performant without breaking the bank. So here we can see it was in fact successful at installing it. So now we can exit that container. I can now just shut down that Docker Compose with the two different containers. We can actually see on the left here that they have shut down, but I can then spin them back up again. So now it's going to spin that back up. Now, give me a second. Let me get my Kestra instance set up and we can see what plugins it has. Now that we've restarted Kestra, we can see that under the plugins page, we've got the Python plugin installed. So now if I was to go to my flow, create a new flow, we can use something like no code, for example, when I add a task, we can see quite easily that the Python tasks are there. So that's one approach for how you can install your plugins. It's just simply install them directly into the container, and then they should appear for you to be able to use straight away in your flows, or if they don't, just give it a quick restart of the containers and then they'll be there. Now let's have a look at how it works in 2.0, where you don't have to manually install them. In theory, everything will be installed at the time of use. Now, this slimmed down base image isn't quite available with the release candidates of 2.0, but 2.0 is on the horizon soon, so keep an eye out for that. So in the meantime, you're going to have to do the approach I just showed with 1.3, but 2.0 is coming soon, so definitely keep an eye out for that. So that gives you an overview of installing Kestra on a Raspberry Pi so that you can then have workflows run with a number of different triggers in your home lab. Let me know if you'd love to see some videos of me using Kestra inside of my own home lab and how I can use that to automate various things around my house. With the fact that Kestra is language agnostic, I would be able to write any code I want and be able to interact with various different APIs for gadgets around my house. So if you'd be interested in that, let me know. I'm curious what you're doing in your home lab and how you're using Kestra. So you know where to find us. Let us know in the comments below.